तो इसमें व्हाट्सएप खोल के डाल दो। तो इसमें व्हाट्सएप खोल के डाल दो। 10 seconds के लिए। अच्छा, मेरे को कंप्यूटर को मोबाइल लाना होगा। कहाँ रखा मेरा फोन? वहीं गया। ये नहीं ये बना हुआ है नीचे से वो ये आपने लगाया? बहुत जबरदस्त चीज है, हमेशा लगा के रखो। अच्छा, बहुत जबरदस्त चीज। मतलब लंबे लंबे मैसेज वैसे भेजना चढ़ हम तो उस पर ब्राउजर पे जाके वेट हुए। नहीं वो जरूरत नहीं, आप ऐप डाउनलोड कर लो। एंड वी डू इट इन इनकॉग्निटो मोड की, कुछ भी पीछे इंप्रेशंस ना रहे। अच्छा, क्योंकि अगर कभी हैक हो जाए, कुछ हो जाए तो अच्छा पीछे भी बन जाते हैं। मेरे I think we're going to the beach now. ऐसे क्यों कर रहा है? चलो anyway, वो उसका लिंक में ईमेल कर दूं। मैं डाल दूं? हाँ आप डाल दूं। और मेरे को एक दो बंदों को ईमेल करना, मैं वो कर दूंगा मैं। आप हमने पंखा अंदर। What should I do? This is the YouTube, direct YouTube link. Yeah, direct. Please access direct YouTube link in case we are not able to admit you. इसको रिकॉर्डिंग जा रहा है कि पूरा खुल जाएगा? पूरा खुलेगा। I think you just click it. This is my wife. Sure. इसको रिकॉर्डिंग जा रहा है कि पूरा खुल जाएगा? पूरा खुलेगा। Sorry sir, ये क्यों दिखा रहे हैं? तो लाइव स्ट्रीम whatever is there. अच्छा ये नहीं, it is working fine. ये तो आपको it is like if you want to watch on TV, ठीक है, it is going live, no problem. अच्छा ठीक है, okay. Your office है?
तुझे सुला दो।
तो सो गया जबरदस्त। It's doing quick.
That's okay. Just leave it till your son is
Yes, I told this guy not to keep the small toys here.
Beta, when it starts, then you guys have to sit here.
चिल्ड्रन डू यू वांट कि कोई वीडियो चले?
हाँ चल रहा है। PS वीडियो PS के लिए।
सेकंड
हाँ ये डेस्कटॉप पे रखा है। इसको
ये डेस्कटॉप ही है।
अच्छा नहीं आइकॉन बना के रखा है ना, आइकॉन बने इसको बंद ही कर दो, आइकॉन बना के रखो। वो अच्छा
मिनिमाइज नहीं होगा ना।
अच्छा मिनिमाइज नहीं होगा।
वी कैन डू इट स्मॉल।
हाँ बहुत छोटा बंद करिए। PS के हाँ यस चला देते हैं, कोई जल्दी आएगा तो यूट्यूब में देखेंगे। इंटरनेट का प्रॉब्लम है। कोई बात नहीं, दूसरों के लिए चलने के।
Sorry, okay, one thing I wanted to ask you. There are two videos.
हाँ
You're using the one which is all the
about his whole life.
not the one which is the prayer meeting.
Correct.
But the other one.
Correct.
आप
Just
थोड़ा
a
करेंगे, मैं check कर लूँगा.
हाँ आई एम ऑलरेडी
done.
इट इज ऑलरेडी देयर ऑन द
I'm
यूट्यूब।
just putting it on.
दिस इज इट इज कमिंग। अगर मैंने
वेरी गुड वेरी गुड। पहली बार हम कर रहे हैं।
अच्छा नहीं आपका यहाँ पे टीम चल रहा है ना मेरे साथ।
टीम चलता है, पर्सनल के लिए हम नहीं कर सकते, उसमें मैंने पेड जूम दिया है, तो फ्री जूम में सिर्फ मेरे पास 40 मिनट का है। चलो ये नहीं आ रहा मेरा इंटरनेट।
हाँ वो तो है।
Good evening, everybody. This is Chandrasekhar. Namaskar. We'll give it another 5 minutes to cope with people who are having any trouble with joining. And I hope you are able to hear me. Yes. And for those who don't
Uh,
know,
yes, I'm able to hear you.
for those who don't know me, I'm son-in-law of Mr. Krishnan. Can you hear the audio of the video we are playing? No. Okay, okay. So we'll just figure that out.
Yes.
क्या 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 वॉल्यूम कम करना सुपर reduce your volume. मतलब सिंपल थिंग मतलब ऐसा नहीं कि वीडियो का वॉल्यूम है ये इसका स्पीकर का वॉल्यूम
Very nice.
है अच्छा लगा दिल खुश हो गया गुड
P.S.Krishnan को लाल सलाम, लाल सलाम, लाल सलाम। P.S.Krishnan को लाल सलाम, लाल सलाम, लाल सलाम।
ये देखो बात प्ले कर देते हैं।
On 7:10, let's start.
This is the wonder of modern technology.
Correct, sir.
अच्छा नेट चले जाएगा तो क्या करोगे?
So I will put it through phone. सर अपनी यूपीएस लिया है तो होगा ना?
मैं यूपीएस तो ठीक है,
एयरटेल
एयरटेल
क्योंकि वो ना जियो फाइबर
ऊपर है, फर्स्ट फ्लोर पे।
कम ऐसा टाइम होता है। Somebody is copied on one page, please.
सर्कल्स में भी है उसका ब्रांच। सुबह Shubha, start.
Good evening, everybody. We will start the event by lighting the lamp. My mother is here, Srimati P.S.Krishnan, next to me. And once we do that, we will start, the proceedings of the day. Mother, थोड़ा आगे करना. I'd request everyone to observe a moment of silence in respect for late Sri P.S.Krishnan. A year has passed since my father left us on this day. It seemed like it was just yesterday when he was in our midst, and we often think in our minds that he will return home to us. It is difficult to grapple with the permanence of death. He has been in our thoughts every single day. His rich memories, principles, and Herculean efforts for social justice will remain with us forever. While we always knew he was a giant of a man, we realize even more today his uniqueness, his greatness, and how special he was. I'm truly blessed to have him as my father. It is touching for us to see how much of love, respect, and admiration he has earned in his life. Father would always tell me when I was a child that one will get to know true respect when one is no longer occupying a position of power and one is no longer alive. And all this has really come true in his case. We are overwhelmed by the response of all of you to the remembrance meeting invitation that the family sent out. My mother and my family join me in thanking each one of you for joining us on this day of remembrance. Thank you so much. And with that, I now hand over to our dear friend and colleague, Mr. Mahinda Ranga.
Namaste, good evening, everybody. As you know, we have joined today to pay our respects on the death anniversary of late Shri P.S.Krishnan Sahab. I will invite Dr. Bhupinder Singh, his close associate and batchmate, to pay his homage on this day. Dr. Bhupinder Singh has been an IAS officer of 56 batch of the Odisha cadre. He has been a close friend of Krishnan Sahab since beginning. It will not be wrong for me to say that he's a professional twin of Krishnan Sahab. What Krishnan Sahab did for the scheduled castes, Dr. Bhupinder Singh has done for the scheduled tribes. And he has championed the cause of the scheduled tribes. And together, Mr. P.S. Krishnan and Dr. Bhupinder Singh have transformed so many lives that we can't keep count of. Now I'll request Dr. Bhupinder Singh to share his thoughts on this occasion with us. Bhupinder Singh, sir.
Friends, at the outset, I would like to thank Shubha and Mrs. Krishnan for having taken the trouble of organizing this function. We are really beholden to them. I am also glad to see, I'm especially glad to see Mrs. Krishnan lighting the lamp for all of us. It's been a great thing for her, and great thing for us also. Friends, the year has passed by. Our memories of our friend are still fresh for him who lived not for himself, but sections of society, serious diseases, which needed every type of material and psychological support and succor. Last year, this day, we poured our hearts out. He left us suddenly. Today, let us remember two great personalities, not only P.S. Krishnan, my close friend, as well as his inspirer and mentor, Bharat Ratna Baba Saheb Bhimrao Ji Ambedkar. I'll talk about Baba Saheb first because he was of Krishnan. Next, I will talk about Krishnan. I will show how, in part, he inherited Dr. Ambedkar's legacy. Let us consider in direct detail time just the Yerawada Pact, which Baba Saheb to his career's zenith. The McDonald Award, announced by the British government on 17 August 1932, provided for special depressed classes constituencies in which candidates and voters would be from untouchables and depressed classes only, now generally called Dalits. The arrangement was to last 20 years. The Supreme National of the times, Gandhiji, was against this provision and went on fast on from 20th September 1932 in the Yerawada prison where he had been incarcerated. The rest of the leadership was hard put to find a solution to stave off this fast. On their request, Baba Sahib went to Yerawada to find a solution. After intense negotiations, a compromise was struck, whereby an agreement known as Pune Pact or Yerawada Pact was signed on 24th September 1932. As per the accord, separate electorates were given up and a system of representation for the depressed classes by reservation in a larger number of seats in the central and provincial legislatures than provided in the MacDonald Award was agreed upon. It was to continue till a date determined by mutual agreement. In the matter of reservation, there was national agreement that depressed classes should be represented in appointments in public services as well as in local bodies. An offshoot of the pact has been that it recognized untouchability as a major national issue, calling for national campaign to eradicate it. In his book, Social Inclusion and Justice in India, Krishnan makes a special mention of what he calls the least known provision in the pact. That is, say, every province shall set apart an adequate sum for providing educational facilities for such classes from educational grant of the state. In his mind, it became the seed concept of special component plan which he conceived and developed during the decade of 70s in the context of much wider sweep of national plan development. Now I talk about Krishnan. Krishnan has recorded in his book, A Crusade for Social Justice, that the knowledge of existence of untouchability came to him like an electric shock from the statement of Dr. Times of India in 1942 or 1943 when he was about 10 or 11 years old. His father explained to him the indignities, the deprivations and injustice an untouchable faces. Krishna's sensitive mind set firmly on the path against untouchability and later against the caste system as a whole. He knew he had to equip himself by way of better understanding people for low castes and untouchables. He read and studied more intensively and observed more of the social phenomena. Since I have been close to him, I can testify to the tremendous qualities of his head and heart. These enabled him to dig deep at the reservoir. At the same time, he rushed to every nook and corner of this vast country, carrying loads of succor wherever and whenever needed by individuals and communities. A voracious reader, before his service career, he acquired phenomenal understanding of the poor and downtrodden through the writings and literature of Ambedkar, Gandhi, Narayan Guru, Savitribai, Vivekananda, Marx, and the rest of them. He developed contacts with and had innumerable experiences of SCs, STs, and BC persons and communities, which he stored in his razor-sharp memory, enabling him to create what he called a unique ideology. Unfortunately, he did not live to tell us what he meant by this unique ideology. Dr. Ambedkar had tested in 1932 reservations in seats for SCs in central and state legislatures while giving away SCs separate electorates. It was extended to STs in 1950. To complete the picture, reservations became applicable to both SCs and STs in elective panchayats and municipal tiers in 1993 through 73rd and 74th constitutional amendments. It was a tribute to Krishnan's wisdom and alacrity that at the appropriate juncture he could get reservations to the posts of chairpersons also of the local bodies approved, in addition to the already approved reservations for SCs and STs in seats. The crucial point here has been that through his strenuous efforts inside and outside the vast network of official and non-official agencies, Krishnan has been instrumental in ensuring the reservations are secured in public sector undertakings and institutions like banks and universities. Efforts to bring the burgeoning private sector remained under Krishna's standard, but now need to be brought forth to fruition. Slow pace in the representation of the of light reservations promotions.
Looks like there is an internet outage at the residence of Mr. Bhupinder Singh. Let's just wait for a minute or two. I'm in touch with his son. Looks like there's a power problem. Tell Ranga, you may kindly go to the next speaker because he seems to be having some technical issue.
The next speaker is Shri P.K. Shivanandan. Shivanandan Saab has been an IAS officer of the 72 batch of Kerala cadre. He has known Krishnan Saab since 70s. A great man not only do perform great deeds, they also inspire others to do great deeds. Mr. Shivanandan is one such person who has accomplished great deeds. He considers P.S.Krishnan Saab as his guru and mentor. Shivanandan Saab has set up Institute for Societal Advancement, uh, which primarily focuses on issues of the scheduled caste and the scheduled tribes. Krishnan Saab was chairing this institute among the numerous institutes he was associated with. May I request Shivanandan Saab to enlighten us and share his thoughts on this occasion. Shivanandan Saab. I hope he is connected.
Yes, he has connected, probably just taking a little time to unmute.
Okay.
Mr. Shivanandan, please unmute yourself.
Shekhar, can you centrally unmute him?
In his own name. Also, would you?
He is already unmuted. From my console, I can see that. But I'd wonder what is the issue. He's
Shivanandan
joined
sir, can you hear us?
Yes, he is unmuted himself. I don't know. Maybe he is struggling with the technology. We can go back to Mr. Bhupinder Singh, Rangaji.
Yeah. भूपेंद्र सिंह सर, आप सुन पा रहे हैं मेरी आवाज? कैन यू हियर मी सर? भूपेंद्र सिंह सर?
Yes, rejoined.
You can resume, sir. Sir, Bhupinder Singh, sir.
Yeah, mute. It's showing mute. Yeah, looks like some technical glitch. Rangaji, let's go on to the next speaker, then we can come back.
Next, I would like to request A. Madhav Rao Sahib to enlighten us, to share his thoughts on this occasion. Madhav Rao Sahib has been an IAS officer of the Andhra cadre. He has been Chief Secretary of Andhra Pradesh. He prodded P.S.Krishnan Sahib to document his thoughts and his works. And it is because of his prodding that we have so many works and writings of Krishnan Sahib now before us. Madhav Rao Sahib, may I request you to share your thoughts and guide and enlighten us on this occasion. Madhav Rao, sir, you can start speaking.
Sir, could you kindly speak, Mr. Madhav Rao? Are you able to hear us? It looks like he's not able to hear. Can you call up Mr. Madhav Rao, Shubha? Oh, there is some glitch. We are able to see him, but he's not able to hear us. He has to increase the volume. Maybe he's not able to hear. Mahendraji, I think we'll move on to the next speaker.
Next speaker is Shri S.M. Vijayanand. He has also been an IAS officer of 1981 batch Kerala cadre. He retired as Chief Secretary of Kerala in the year 2017. Before that, he was Special Secretary in Ministry of Rural Development and later in the Ministry of Panchayati Raj in the Government of India. His mother was classmate of Krishnan Sahib during his graduation days in the University College, Trivandrum. Vijayanand Sahib has known Krishnan Sahib since 1981. Krishnan Sahib used to go to the houses of his classmates whenever he visited Trivandrum. Vijayanand Sahib considers himself as a shish or a disciple of Krishnan Sahib. He worked with the Krishnan Sahib to draft the special component plan and the TSP law for Kerala, but this could not be formalized, and probably as a homage to Krishnan Sahib, this might get pushed now. May I request Vijayanand sir to guide us on this occasion and share his thoughts.
Thank you. I'm filled with lot of memories of Krishnan sir. Early memories before seeing him. My mother used to proudly tell me when I was a student that her classmate had got into the IAS. Maybe 6, 7 years. I've been hearing for a long time. And then I first met him in Mussoorie, and later on he used to visit our house regularly. And we have also been visiting the house, but not as regularly as he visited our house. I studied in University College, so I understand the philosophy there. So when I met him first, it was a meeting of the minds, shared goals, values, brought up in a progressive environment of University College, which combined the moral democracy of Gandhiji with the revolutionary fervor of Marx. Probably that was there in the 1950s when Krishnan sir studied. And I've been interacting with Krishnan sir lifelong, right? As a young district planning officer of Idiki, when I accompanied him to some Dalit hamlets, and he taught me basics of this. And later on, as chief secretary and late before special secretary, when he worked in the National Advisory Council for framing a national legislation. So it is a continuing and learn from the master. That has been a great privilege of mine. So what I observed in him, he could understand the individual Dalit experience. From that, see it in perspective, the larger background of social history, and conceptualize, take it to philosophy, and then convert it into pragmatic action. The perfect qualities of a perfect civil servant, from the individual to the general to action. That is what I saw him. And an activist and fighter, and he embodied what we now call the constitutional values. Really embodied them and practiced them. And now we talk of rights-based development. Years ago, social rights, political rights, civil rights, in that progression, and later Krishnan sir pioneered the development rights, the SCP-TSP Act of Andhra Pradesh, then Karnataka, after which it was not really caught on. In that sense, he was a karma yogi, a real missionary. I always see a twin sense to the word mission. The caring, passionate, compassionate missionary like Mother Teresa, and the precision and action of the NASA's space mission. Krishnan sir combined both the qualities of this mission. And in a sense, is an object lesson on what civil servants can do. You can, the entire SC development thing in India for the last 45 years were his creation, and the OBC things also. So what civil servants can do, he can learn from him. All civil servants should learn from him. I think it should be taught in the Mussoorie Academy how exactly a civil servant can intervene in a rather hostile atmosphere. So Dr. Ambedkar designed the constitution. I would boldly say P.S.Krishnan sir realized his potential, I think, more than anybody else. So at this time, let me pay homage to his great memory, but not in words. That's all of you are great activists. My request to all of you, we should continue the action points, and particularly those of you from Kerala, and those of you who know Keralites, and those of you who know the political leaders from Kerala, push for the SCP-TSP Act, which I would like to be called an Act for Development of Scheduled Castes and Scheduled Tribes. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Shivanandan Saab, can you hear us? Or Madhav Rao Saab, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yes, sir. Sir, I request you to share your thoughts and enlighten us and pay your homage on this occasion to Krishnan Saab.
Thank you, brother. My greetings to Mrs. Krishnan and Subha. In Andhra Pradesh, the light of commitment for the poor people sort of was shown first by Ms. P.S. Krishnan, who fortunately for us was allotted to Andhra Pradesh. And before that, officers of the senior civil service, particularly the Indian Administrative Service, going to the poor man's hut, particularly the SC and ST, was unheard of. He was the first man to go to their place, sit in their houses, and identify himself with their cause and with them in a very, very personal way, but in official capacity. Because of the precedent he has started, several others have come, including my daughter Sunita, who is attending this conference. Then we had Ms. Shankaran. But the starting point is Ms. Krishnan, so I call him as the Adi Guru of the poor people of the Andhra Pradesh, who started this proactive, pro-poor, pro-SC/ST journey. It's he being the first person, obviously he had his find his own way, and he thought the best way is to get totally identified with them, with their cause. So the authorities, rather the powers in that be, did not particularly like this kind of identification. And after doing the job of a sub-collector, normally they do a second division and then afterwards they become the district collectors. But he was denied that opportunity, and for the first time, an IAS officer was posted as assistant settlement officer. Nowadays we call these as punishment postings. If the government doesn't want somebody to be going out of the way to do something which they don't approve of, they do such kind of punishment postings. So we have that great example of that punishment posting being sort of the Ms. Krishnan being the subject of that. And for us, it's a kind of a medal. It's a prize. If somebody is given a punishment posting, if somebody is not kept for a long period in posts where they interact directly with the people and were able to do something for them, it's in a way a recognition of their identity with the poor people. This is where Mr. Krishnan stands in the memory of a number of officers of this state. And soon he spread that message of identification all over India. He spent a lot of time in Government of India. And there is no program connected with the cause of SC/ST without Ms. Krishnan being there in the center of things. Now, when we have been seeing this about some 5 years back, with Ms. Paul Divakar, we were organizing a first round of consultation about amendments to this Atrocities Act. Then obviously he was chairing it, and then at one point I was so touched by his commitment at that age. I said, if there is some way we could give a bit of our longevity to you, I would like to contribute 5 years of my life to you so that you can live longer and serve us much longer. He was touched as much as I was moved by his association with our cause. And for me, particularly coming from the background of being an SC officer, first generation officer, my parents were illiterate. They're from a rural background, poor. They have all the qualifications of disability. Now, luckily, I got into IAS, and then I had the distinction of working with people like Ms. Krishnan. And I am fortunate to have a second generation disciple of Ms. Krishnan in my daughter, who is also in the AP CADA. Recently, we had met and then decided that we will commemorate his memory every year through this kind of P.S.Krishnan Memorial Lecture. We are waiting for this COVID thing to relax a bit to have a physical meeting, but if it doesn't go away soon, we'll go through this Zoom conference. And personally, at our level, my family level, I and my daughter have announced here that we will institute a prize for the brightest SC student in the name of Mr. P.S. Krishnan, starting with this year, maybe next 1 or 2 months. And I'm personally thankful to Mrs. Krishnan, who has been encouraging him in such total identity with us. And I'm also thankful to Ms. Krishnan for leaving his fertile memory of the SC/ST and minorities background through a book. And we had got it translated into Telugu and released it here in Andhra Pradesh. There will be a number of others. I would like to stop here and thank you for giving me this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Sir Bhupinder Singh is back, and I would like to request him to resume his message. Sir Bhupinder Singh.
I presume that I gave some portion because of some technical glitch. So I was just referring to the efforts and Dr. Ambedkar for the various issues involved in the Pune Pact. Now I go to the last portion of my address, which I said that we need to orient our focus now to Krishna's original achievements. And this was a very important portion, no doubt. So I would have been very very sorry if I had been not given this opportunity again. And thank you very much for that. We have already mentioned Krishna's seed concept. It matured into special component plan or SEs. It has been the twin of tribal subplan or TSP. Both were conceived on the basis of an integrated holistic idea of resources of all sectors: agriculture, horticulture, irrigation, education, drinking water supply, sanitation, technology, etc., braided together into a coordinated benefits with the help of very sector-specific staff, set of dedicated heads. Their absence led to the decadence of the special component plan. It became routinized and trivialized. I have barely time to touch on one of the most potentially powerful in the area, enable athletes and athletes to come their own and make handsome contribution to the country's strength hard and soft directions. It's a suggestive event of atrocities Act 1989, combined with the right to life of Article 21 in the Constitution. A proper will infuse a new spirit in the lives of these communities, enabling them to make valuable contribution, valuable national contribution. From the human point of view, a highly significant Krishna's contribution has been passage of the prohibition of employment as manual scavengers and the Rehabilitation Act Scavengers and the Rehabilitation Act 2013. According to him, it needs to be improved now. The comprehended in Krishna's mind is not part of the elephant's body, which has been left behind by Krishna. Today, on his death anniversary, and on the death anniversary, on the death anniversary of Shri Krishna, I chose to speak about Baba Sahib Ambedkar also, as I felt the two are among the rare members of a rare pantheon of the country who heard the heartbeats of the suffering humanity and compassion, as well as the passion and energy doing good to them for the relation. Let us pay our homage to Krishnan and Baba Sahib, as well as to those kindred souls who came before him. Now let us join the family, Mrs. Krishnan, Shubha, Shekhar, and the renewal of grief today. Our deep sympathies go to them. Was I joining?
No, we can't hear you, sir. No.
Rangaji, I think we can request the next speaker. I will connect with Mr. Bhupinder Singh San on the side. And if the connection improves, we'll request him at the end.
Shivnandan Saab, are you able to hear us? I'll move to next speaker, Dr. Rakesh Kumar. Dr. Rakesh Kumar is an IAS officer of Uttarakhand cadre 1992 batch. He has served in various capacities at the state and national level. He was district magistrate of Nainital and Dehradun. He has been joint secretary in the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. He has been chief advisor to UNDP. Currently, he is chief advisor, Population Services International India, and is based out of Delhi. May I request him to share his thoughts and pay his homage on this occasion. Dr. Rakesh
Thank
Kumar.
you. Thank you, Mr. Ranga. At the outset, I would like to pay my floral tributes to my mentor, my guide, and my guru, P.S.Krishnan sir. I would also like to profusely thank Madam Krishnan, Subhaji, and Shekharji for organizing this remembrance meeting. I think this was very important so that everybody could really collect and share their thoughts and ideas after he left us 1 year back exactly. See, my first encounter with Krishnan sir goes back to 2007, and this was through a telephone when Mr. Nanak Chand, who was in Mussoorie, he called me up, and then he handed over the telephone to Mr. Krishnan, and I was pleasantly surprised when he said that, Rakeshji, this is P.S. Krishnan, and I used to be deputy director in the academy, in very early days when we were not even probationers. And then he profusely complimented my work. And this work was, I remember precisely, this work was regarding construction of a road in a SC-dominated village in Masuri Tehsil. So it was, what I'm trying to say here is that, he not only, appreciated my work over there, but I think this must have been true with him for everyone who was doing something or other good for the common man, for the downtrodden people in the country. He did not stop there, but next he wrote a very strong letter to my chief minister, the then chief minister, General B.C. Kanduri, and he's ensured 3 points. He made 3 points very clear. He said, I need security of the tenure for this particular officer, and he should serve at least 3 years in the district. I was district magistrate in Dehradun at that point of time. Secondly, he said that he also needs to have security, because I find that he's having some threat perceptions, not only for him, but for his family also. Because I did some work over there, where I took away close to 300 acres of land from the mafias, invested in the government. So he was very particular. And at that point of time, General Kanduri invited me, called me, and said, what else you need? I've gotten a wonderful letter, appreciating your work by none less than Mr. P.S. Krishnan. And I have a copy of that particular letter, and I'm going to cherish that. I'm going to preserve that letter all throughout my life. My first meeting with him again happened in 2007 when he had come to Dehradun. And at that point of time, Dr. Aristolia, again, he used to be my mentor. We lost him in December 2016. And Dr. Aristolia and Mr. P.S. Krishnan, they had worked together in Ministry of Social Justice when Krishnan sir was the joint secretary and Dr. Aristolia used to be under secretary, I suppose. And he narrated and he shared so many thoughts and ideas about Mr. Krishnan. I think that was the time when I got so fascinated about Mr. Krishnan, and I got so attached with him. And I would like to cite one anecdote which Dr. Tolia shared with me. He said, once we had a parliament question, for our ministry, and they wanted to understand that how many scheduled caste officers are working in that particular ministry. And I think that letter must be for all the ministries, and the parliament must be trying to understand that, okay, how many scheduled caste officers are working in the ministries. And then his secretary invited for a meeting. He called for a meeting and he invited all of us. In the meeting, he said, okay, Mr. Krishnan, yes, you are one scheduled caste, and then who else are there? Why can't you put them together so that we can reply? So that was the kind of reputation he carried, because nobody knew that he was scheduled caste by karma. He was a scheduled tribe by karma and not by birth. So I think this is what I really, that touched my mind. My last meeting with Sir was in September 2019 itself. Since 2007, I have been in close touch with him. I sought, every opinion, anything I had to decide in my career, in my family. He used to be one of my mentors and my guides to advise me very strongly. Whether it was related to me, to my son, to my family, I think he was always there. My last meeting with him happened in September 2019. We planned his surgery together. I just wanted to share with you that, okay. And, looking at all the pros and cons, he was thinking that, okay, it's time that I need to go for the surgery. Otherwise, I'm not going to live longer. And, it was like 50-50%. I consulted some doctors, experts in London also. I have a couple of friends. And it was finally decided that he should go for the surgery. And that fateful day, I think the surgery did not succeed and we lost him. Nevertheless, I think this is something which, again, another anecdote I just wanted to share with you, that I invited Sir on our wedding anniversary, 25th wedding anniversary. And Madam and Sir, they came, with all graciousness. And the best part about the couple and about Sir was that they were the first one to arrive and they were the last one to leave. And this is how, he touched, he must have touched, hearts of millions and thousands and hundreds of IAS officers across the country and other people. But that was the kind of, persona which he carried. I think everybody knows that Dr. Krishnan was a true crusader and a social activist dedicated to removing the caste inequalities in the system. He not only dedicated his service to the country, taking care of these inequalities, but also his whole life. I have a couple of views. I would say that he was not a person. He is an ideology. In my view, he is an ideology, and that ideology needs to be treated further. And how best we can take his, lessons from his life, to the future generation, I think that becomes of paramount importance. So I would like to suggest two things, if honorable senior colleagues would like to consider. The first is that is it possible that we can create a module or a kind of course at the academy in his name, maybe a 1 day or 2 day kind of module which can be created, and that can be taught to all the youngsters who are joining Indian Educating Services and also the state academies. Why only IAS officers? But I think this his life needs to be taught. Life needs to be taken forward, and the only way that how best we can transfer his teachings to the younger populations and the younger generations who are going to be in the helm of affair as far as administration is concerned. So I think that is the first thing. And secondly, there could be an award for the best outgoing, maybe the scheduled caste, scheduled tribe, or whosoever officer is there from these academies. I think that will keep him, sort of live. We we must obviously we have these kind of remembrance meetings, and Honorable former Chief Secretary also mentioned about that he's instituted a prize in his name. That's absolutely, I think, wonderful to have, but I think to make it as a kind of constant and regular exercise, if this can be considered, I think that will be a true homage to a person who dedicated his life to the cause of downtrodden and scheduled castes, scheduled tribes, and OBCs in the country. So thank you so much, Sekharji, Subhaji, and Madam for inviting me. And he's always in our thoughts. I don't really recall that even a single day we don't remember him. He's part of our, he's certainly blessing all of us, and I think he'll continue blessing all of us in future as well. So my homage and my floral tributes to Sri Krishnan sir, and I stop shortly. Thank you so much. Unmute, please. I think.
अब मैं बुलाना चाहूंगा श्री नानक चंद जी को। आप सरकारी सेवा में रहे हैं, फिलहाल देहरादून में आपका निवास है। आप फाउंडर मेंबर हैं नेशनल एक्शन फोरम फॉर सोशल जस्टिस के, और आप इसके नेशनल चेयरमैन भी हैं। ये जो फोरम है ये कृष्णन साहब की लीडरशिप में चल रही थी, और अब अभी भी ये उनके उद्देश्यों पर कार्य करती रहेगी। नानक चंद जी।
नमस्कार। कृष्णन जी को श्रद्धांजलि देते हुए आदरणीय श्रीमती शांता कृष्णन जी को, शेखर जी को और सुभा जी का धन्यवाद अदा करना चाहूँगा कि पूरे देश में उन्होंने ये मौका दिया है कि कृष्ण साहब को हम इस रूप में श्रद्धांजलि दे पाए। आदरणीय कृष्णन जी से मेरा 1989 से संपर्क है। मैं उनसे बहुत कुछ सीखा हूँ अपनी ज़िंदगी में, पूरी लाइफ में, और हम लोग मुझसे बहुत सारी चीज़ें शेयर किया करते थे। हमने जब दलित मैनिफेस्टो बनाया, पूरे देश का भ्रमण किया। कृष्णन जी ने जगह जगह जा कर के रैलियाँ की, सभाएं की, उस मामले में समझा, और उस मैनिफेस्टो को बहुत लार्ज लेवल पर हमने सर्कुलेट किया सभी राजनीतिक पार्टियों में। हम 2005 में जब मसूरी में चिंतित शिविर कर रहे थे, कृष्णन जी ने 3 दिन तक बहुत सारे राजनीतिक पार्टियों को लेकर के जो हिमालय उद्घोषणा 72 पॉइंट्स थे उसको ड्राफ्ट किया। मैं बहुत कई रातें उनके साथ गुजारी इस बिल को ड्राफ्ट करने के लिए। मैं कृष्णन जी के उस समय में एक बात से मैं बहुत ज़्यादा चिंतित थे कृष्णन जी जब 10% आरक्षण जो है अपर कास्ट को दिया गया। उनका कहना था कि ये रिजर्वेशन केवल जो दबे कुचले लोग हैं, जिनको सताया गया है, जिनको परेशान किया गया है, उनके लिए इस आधार पर रखा गया ताकि बराबरी का स्तर लाया जा सके। और गरीबी मिटाने के लिए, दूसरी चीजों के लिए बहुत सारी योजनाएं हैं जिन चीजों को लागू किया जा सकता है। कृष्णन जी ने लास्ट जब शेड्यूल कास्ट एंड शेड्यूल ट्राइब बिल को ड्राफ्ट करने के लिए गोपाल राव जी, बहुत सारे हमारे आईएएस, रिटायर्ड आईएएस ऑफिसर के बीच रह करके उस बिल का उनका एक बड़ा सपना था। उनकी इच्छाएं थी ये बिल सरकार इसको पास करे। राजनाथ सिंह जी, आदरणीय थावरचंद गहलोत जी, आदरणीय श्री डॉक्टर जितेंद्र सिंह, सबके साथ बैठ के चर्चा हुई। मैं भी उस चर्चा में शामिल रहा हूँ। कृष्णन जी का सपना था कि SCP TSP बिल को कानून बनाया जाए और एक सीमित समय और तय समय में, जो एक निश्चित समय के दौरान ये जो समाज का दबा कुचला वर्ग है उसको आर्थिक आजादी के साथ साथ एक सम्मानजनक स्थिति तक लाया जाए। मैं जब मुझे सूचना मिली पिछले वर्ष, जब 10 नवंबर हम लोग समझ नहीं पा रहे, नेशनल एक्शन फोरम फॉर सोशल जस्टिस कृष्णन जी के देखरेख में उसका ड्राफ्ट किया गया था। कई रातें उन्होंने उस ड्राफ्ट करने में लगाई हैं। हम उनके आदर्श पे चल रहे हैं, उनके आदर्श पे चल रहे हैं और उनका जो सपना था, उनका जो कहना था, उस कार्य को पूरा करने के लिए वो एक दिन अपने आवास पर मुझे बता रहे थे कि नानाचंद, ये मेरा लास्ट विकेट है और आपने इस पर काम करना है ताकि जो समाज का वो वर्ग है, अगर मैं नहीं रहा तो उसकी सुरक्षा की जा सके, उसकी लड़ाई को जारी रखना है। और आज हम जब 1 वर्ष बाद उनको श्रद्धांजलि दे रहे हैं, मुझे नहीं लगता कि हम समझ नहीं पा रहे हैं कि जब अभी भी हम जब बैठकें करते हैं तो एक खालीपन नजर आ रहा है। समझ नहीं आ रहा कि उसको कैसे भुलाया जा सकता है और उनकी कमी को कैसे दूर किया जा सकता है। बहुत सारी बैठकें हमने अलग अलग क्षेत्रों में की हैं। सभी कोशिश कर रहे हैं। मैं इस मौके पर जब बहुत सारे माहौलों में हम लोग रहे हैं, काफी दर्द महसूस हो रहा है और इस दर्द के साथ फैमिली हेड थे और फैमिली हेड में उन्होंने हमेशा मुझे सम्मान दिया है। तो मेरे पुत्र का किडनी फेलियर हुई तो वो काफी दुखी थे। कई रात को फोन करके मेरे बेटे से भी बात करते थे, मुझसे भी बात करते हैं। तो मुझे लगता था कि मुझे सहारा है। नेशनल एक्शन फोरम के काफी सारे लोग जो कृष्णन जी के उस पर काफी दुखी हैं, समझ नहीं पा रहे कि हम, ये एक पहला वित्तीय वर्ष था जिसमें जो समीक्षा कृष्णन जी की आया करती थी बजट के प्रस्तुत होने के तुरंत बाद, वो अगर इस वर्ष जब वो समीक्षा नहीं आई, सब लोग चिंतित, सब लोग कह रहे थे कृष्णन साहब की कमी कैसे दूरी होगी। तो मैं ज्यादा कुछ कहने की स्थिति में नहीं हूँ, काफी दुखी हूँ और उनको श्रद्धांजलि देता हूँ और ईश्वर से प्रार्थना करता हूँ कि उनकी फैमिली को, आदरणीय श्रीमती शांता कृष्णन जी को ऐसा सम्मान उनके परिवार को मिलना चाहिए। उस परिवार ने पूरे समाज के, देश के दबे कुचले वर्गों के लिए पूरा जीवन लगा दिया। खास करके मैं इस बात पर भी, मुझे बहुत मौके मिले कि आदरणीय श्रीमती शांता कृष्णन जी का जिस तरह से कृष्णन साहब को सहयोग रहा, रात रात इधर उधर जाना, दूरी यात्राओं को पूरा करना, ट्रेनों में यात्राएं करना, तो वो एक महिला, कृष्ण साहब कहते थे, एक महिला का जो सहयोग है उसी के कारण मैं इतना सब कुछ कर पाया हूँ। मैं उनको प्रणाम करता हूँ और उन सभी फैमिली के सभी मेंबर्स को, शेखर जी का बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद, शोभा जी का धन्यवाद। समय आने पर मैं, क्योंकि बेटे की किडनी फेलियर होने के कारण मैं भी थोड़ा काफी परेशान हूँ, लेकिन मैं उनको ईश्वर से प्रार्थना करता हूँ कि उस परिवार को एक सम्मान दे और खुशी पूर्वक। धन्यवाद।
धन्यवाद नानक चंद जी। अब मैं इनवाइट करना चाहूंगा डॉक्टर V.A. रमेश नाथन साहब को. Dr. Nathan is convener of the National Coalition for Strengthening Prevention of Atrocities Act, New Delhi. Krishnan Saab was the chief advisor to this coalition and played a crucial role in bringing amendments to the Prevention of Activities Act. So may I request Ramesh Nathan Saab to pay his homage, tribute, share his thoughts, guide us on this occasion. Ramesh Nathan Saab.
Jai Bhim, Johar, good evening to everyone. On behalf of National Campaign on Dalit Human Rights, National Dalit Movement for Justice, and National Coalition for Strengthening of SC/ST PO Act, I would like to pay homage and tribute to our Chief Advisor, P.S.Krishnan ji. And thanks to Madam Santa and his daughter and son-in-law Shubha and Chandrasekhar for organizing this tribute to great personality P.S.Krishnan ji. There is a lot of things are being shared already by many dignitaries, IAS officers, and our friends about P.S.Krishnan ji's commitment and contribution to the scheduled caste, scheduled tribe, OBCs. Personally, I feel that he is the real follower of Dr. Baba Sahib Ambedkar, and he is very strong Ambedkarite. And he is the person also realized many of the dream of Baba Sahib Ambedkar through his service, civil service, and contributed a lot to the scheduled caste, scheduled tribe, and OBCs. Friends, I would like to specifically recall the experience of 10 years from 2009 to 2013 till his death. The National Campaign on Dalit Human Rights, the founder member of Paul Tiwagar, Vincent, Henry Tiffin, in the early 2000s, capacitated thousands of Dalit human rights defenders and placed in 20 states for monitoring the atrocities and implementation of Scheduled Caste, Scheduled Tribe Prevention of Atrocities Act. In 2008, we had a national level consultation, learning from the experience from the ground level, also reviewing the 20-year of the SC/ST PO Act, and we realized there are many challenges in accessing justice for the victim and survivors of the scheduled caste and scheduled tribe. And also we realized there are many gaps and Lucknow in the loopholes in the Principal Act of 1989. So that time we decided to form a national coalition in order to strengthen the ground level activities as well as strengthening the SC/ST PO Act. So Paul Tiwagar and Srivella Prasad, who was my previous General Secretary of NDMJ, so they had a very long discussion and who can really help us in strengthening this act in order to bring amendments. Then finally they reached out to P.S.Krishnan ji in the year early 2009. So that's how in 2009 the National Coalition was formed, and P.S.Krishnan ji agreed to be a chief advisor, and he's agreed to facilitate these 500 organizations towards strengthening the SC/ST PO Act. Friends, it's a long journey from 2009. There is several national level rounds of consultation, evidence building, advocacy, public hearing at different states. Everywhere he traveled with us, and without any expectations, I could feel his commitment So whenever I invite to the state, he used to say, Ramesh Nathan, wicket irkunumilla, meaning that I have to sustain no, so that I can be useful for many people for the SC/STs. It's really touched me whenever he says that kind of word, and very passionate. And there were also occasions where there is a lot of contradictions while we are drafting the amendments. That's all real good stories. I think that's long story. We need to this one. Then finally, it reached the stage in 2014. It was supposed to be passed in the parliament, both Lok Sabha and Raj Sabha. But somehow this Congress government did not pass it. So we met several times, Rahul Gandhi, Sonia Gandhi finally said, I'm really convinced about these proposed amendments. When she was a chairperson of the National Advisory Council, and she said if it is not being passed in the parliament, there is a ways and means to bring it out. So that's how the ordinance being passed in 2014 March. Then followed by that, me and Rahul, my colleague, used to go and meet Krishnanji in his residence. Madam also used to sit sometime with us. She cordially invite us. It's all good memories for us. And I said, sir, we have to meet Sonia Gandhi to express our gratitude for bringing the ordinance. He said immediately, Ramesh Nathan, you should not feel guilty. Don't ever, the SC/ST should feel gratitude to the rulers. It is your right. It is their duty to bring this one. It's already delayed, and this should have been passed in the parliament. So you don't feel guilty and don't say that we have to express our gratitude. I was really, really touched by the kind of encouragement and empowerment is given to us at the personal level, also to the community at large. So there were many instances my final meeting was last year, mid-October in his residence. I think Madam Santaji will remember. There was a long discussions every time whenever me and my colleague Rahul meet him in his residence. It will start around 5 o'clock. It may go up to 7, 8, 2 hours, 3 hours, as he sits in the national consultation. Minute details, very minute details, he used to advise us how to take forward. And when the government has changed from Congress to BJP also, he used to tell us, see, you don't antagonize anyone. You don't fight with the BJP party also. Because we ought to see as the rulers, they are the ruling party, they are the government. Look at them as a government and approach them. Don't go with any prejudice against the BJP party. He uses that kind of strategy, how to move with the ruling parties or the government, whichever the party may be, whichever may be the ideological base. But he says that we have to get things done for the scheduled caste and scheduled tribe. The last meeting I said last October, after the Supreme Court judgment, where it was reinstated the SC/ST PU Act, which was diluted in the month of March. I went on greeted. I said, sir, it's a really good judgment, and people who sacrificed life in the state of Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan against the judgment. So somehow we got back our own judgment, and the amendments being again passed. So then he said, Ramesh Nathan, we succeeded only 50%. Still there is 50% more, because there was one more writ petition was pending in the Supreme Court against the amendment which was passed in the month of August 2018. He has contributed 10 years full. I worked with him very closely. Tirelessly he will give advice, tirelessly he will travel with us in many states for public hearing, press meetings. I think I can't really describe that kind of commitment at this age. So finally, there are few more agendas completely left with us, and we are following up. One is that he was the instrumental bringing the special component plan for the scheduled caste and sub-plan for the scheduled tribe. In Andhra Pradesh, Madhavraj is here, was instrumental bringing the state legislation. But we were advocating for the central legislation, for the special component plan and special component sub-plan for the scheduled tribe. That's one agenda is still pending because the budget allocation is very, very important. The amount which is being allocated for the several decades, that's not been really reaching out to the communities. He was really convinced that based on the Andhra Pradesh experience that we must try central legislation so that the budgetary allocations will be ensured and the development will be ensured. So that's one of his conviction that, I mean, in 2013, Congress government brought the bill, but somehow doesn't further proceed to the parliamentary process. Then another thing that we used to discuss, he was also really said that he will help us in drafting the legislation. That's one is the protection of the rights of the inter-caste married couples, because you could have seen in the recent decades, many of the youngsters from non-Dalit communities who are transcend from the caste boundaries, and they were wished to get married with scheduled caste or scheduled tribes, but they faced consequences. In the name of honor, many young Dalit boys were killed, young non-Dalit girls were killed during the past. So he said that we need to draft the legislation and see that those intercaste people should be protected and they should be supported for their employment and welfare. So that's still pending this one. And third, we also drafted one legislation towards the ensuring zero discrimination in the school education. In the school education, the children, they face multiple forms of discrimination based on the caste, based on the gender, based on the color, abilities, multiple forms of discrimination. We drafted, then he said that he will help us to put into legal framework. So that third is really pending. So these are the three major agenda he left with us, and certainly we will take forward these three agenda from our NCDHR, NTMJ and National Coalition and see that the rights of Dalit and Adivasi and the development are ensured as he is also dreamt and committed and worked. I used to listen a song, film song, one song. Whenever I listen that song, I used to remember P.S.Krishnan ji. Instead of hero, he is the real hero for us, who has really worked for so many years, not only being a bureaucrat, he was really an Ambedkarite activist. The lyrics goes like this: வாழ்ந்தவர் கோடி மறைந்தவர் கோடி மக்களில் மனதில் நிற்பவர் யார் மாபெரும் வீரர் மானம் காப்போர் சரித்திரம் தனிலே நிற்கின்றார். Millions of people will come and go, are born and die, but the warrior who fight for the dignity of the people will remain in the history. So I see that he remains in the history. His soul remains with us, and his legacy will be carried forward by our coalition, and see that all this remaining agenda will be accomplished. So thank you very much for this opportunity to Madam Santa and his daughter Shobha, son-in-law Chandrasekhar, and all our friends. Thank you very much. Jai Bhim.
Thank you, Nathan Saab. It's my pleasure to welcome Dr. Dag Eric Berg, from the Center for Modern Indian Studies, Göttingen, Germany. I hope my pronunciation about the town is right. He is a specialist in Dalit studies and he brings an international perspective to the issue. It will be great to hear him on this occasion. Dr. Eric Berg, please. Request you to address us on this occasion.
Thank you very much indeed, and thank you so much for inviting me to this occasion. I could see several names and faces I recognized from before, and many new faces as well. It's a shame I'm far away, but I'm happy to have been invited and to get the opportunity. I met P.S.Krishnan back in 2007, and I spent like five hours with him in Hyderabad, talking to him about his work, his views on the history, caste, and how one needs to rethink caste and its various formations. And also I learned a lot about the history of the Prevention of Atrocity Act. And now Ramesh Nathan just explained about his work and on how to amend it and how to improve it, and it's quite interesting for me to learn from that too. And what I felt was that I learned a lot from P.S.Krishnan in ways that I would never been able to do with that deep insight into the history and genesis of the Prevention of Atrocity Act. And I was very lucky and fortunate to communicate with him over these years. I also met him once in Delhi. I don't remember the year, but around 2010, and was able to communicate with him on a small and few issues. What I think, and then I felt really sad and shocked to see that he passed away after this serious illness that he had, and it happened just before my book was published. And I think his insights has been quite valuable for the development of my argument in that book. So I was hoping to show him the book and to send him a copy. Now I did send a copy to the family, but I wish I could have shared it with him. What I feel, I mean, there are many things that I could explain about, but what struck me with the first conversation that I had was, and I explained this to a few people before, was that after having spent like 5 hours talking continuously and with the clear conviction throughout, he concluded with telling me that I should not consider working on this topic as a job or as a study. It should be a mission, and it shows. And I think it shows his commitment. I mean, having used all that energy, talking for all this time, he was still really committed to the cause. And so I think it's a remarkable commitment and a very impressive personality that this example shows, at least to me. In terms of his writing, I think what I feel is very valuable is not only his books, but particularly his articles. So I have I have collected several of his articles, and some of them occur in journals which are not that, I mean, which are not always the most famous ones, but very significant in the field. And these are articles which are not that easy to access all the time, but the it's a lot of insight into and very valuable information in these articles. So in one way, one could also collect these articles, and I'm sure some of it has been collected, but just in some of his books, we have a lot. So the last time I met him, he explained that he should perhaps use a little bit more time to write out, and I think it's very fortunate that we have some of these writings, because he has really offered a lot of information for those of us who work in and would like to learn about what has about the history and the development in this field. I don't want to take too much time, because I think already it's been said many important things, but I think what is quite important, and what he explained to me, is how he also was able to because of his experience in the field, experience with having visited people on the ground, he was able to understand not only the problem from within law. I mean, from the beginning of from the early post-colonial period, when focused on untouchability, how to define it, and so on. And untouchability is a big issue, but in terms of law, it was also a slight tricky problem. And Krishnan was part of this committee that was drafting the Prevention of Atrocity Act, and he explained one should not need to define untouchability, one needs to define what is an atrocity. And I think just that that emphasis had important consequences for the development of the act. So he has made a fantastic contribution, and I feel honored and privileged to have met him, and also thankful for having been invited to this occasion. So thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Eric Berg. As you know, we have styled the program in two parts. The first part was about the homages that we have finished. In the second part, we will be discussing the ways and means to how to carry the legacy of Krishnan Saab forward. As we all know, such anniversaries are not only occasions to remember the great men, these are also occasions to learn their message and to carry it forward. I'm reminded of a story that I used to hear from my grandfather when I was a child. The Pingla Bhartri story, the story of Amar Phal, the fruit that makes you immortal. Someone was given that fruit who was the most dear to him, and then it got passed on and passed on. And so finally it reached the king again. I used to ask my grandfather, where is that person who eventually consumed that Amar Phal, or the fruit that will make one immortal? And my grandfather told me that no, you don't become physically mortal, you become mortal in other ways. You are never forgotten by the society. And I have no doubt that Mr. Krishnan has become immortal in that sense. Mr. Madhav Rao mentioned that he offered to give away 5 years of his life if there was any such provision to Krishnan Saab's life. I'm sure most of us would gladly agree to that, and Mr. Krishnan could become even physically immortal if that option was there. But physically, he's not among us, but his ideas, his thoughts, they are with us. And how to carry those ideas and his work forward, that is the next part. And we will be now taking up this part. To take this discussion forward, I will be inviting Mr. Wundru Raja Shekhar. Mr. Shekhar is a very well-known name. He is a well-known Ambedkarite. He is Ambedkarite scholar. He has a PhD in Ambedkar studies. He is author of this book, Ambedkar, Gandhi and Patel, The Making of India's Electoral System. He wrote an obituary on Krishnan Saab in the Economic and Political Weekly, the well-known weekly for intellectual discourse in India. I would like to invite Shekhar Saab to address us on the challenges being faced by the scheduled castes. Wundru Raja Shekhar Saab.
Thank you, Dr. Ranga, and paying homage today to the memory of Dr. P.S.Krishnan, and I'm with his family on this day of remembering him. In fact, I was very surprised when Professor Gopal Guru, who was the editor of called me up and said, you have to write an obituary or a detailed article on P.S.Krishnan ji. I said, why me? I said, the people know him very well. He said, no. See, you are an IAS officer, and you can actually look the way he, as an IAS officer, has molded himself. And then, in fact, I had a Telugu version of this book, A Crusade for Social Justice, P.S. Krishnan, Bending Governance Towards the Deprived. This is the book. This book was actually painstakingly written by Dr. Vasanti Devi. It is in the form of several interviews. And South Vision book has, in fact, this Telugu version of this came because of Kaki Madhavrao-ji, who spoke earlier. In fact, when I looked at his life, of course, I'm one of those who saw him working after his retirement. I came into the service in 1990, like along with Mahendra Rangaji. And by the time he was finishing his career, that means all my life I have seen him working. I've spent a lot of years in the government of India. I was in justice. And he would call me and said, Rajshekhar Mano, itla cheste bauntundi. Talking to me and encouraging me, trying to advise me, guide me. And saw him was after his retirement. There was nothing like a retirement. It was a continuous legacy of his life. And all those movements that have been mentioned by our earlier speakers, I've seen him actively in them. I've seen him everywhere. Every Constitution Club or wherever things are happening, is the pivotal, is a pillar in whichever aspect. Now, when coming to the clear-cut topic of discussion, in fact, today, Mallepalli Lakshmaya ji, who is the chairman of Center for Dalit Studies in Hyderabad, he's also joined us, where we some time ago with Madhavrao Garu and others, we've spoken about, of course, institutionalizing his memory, a memorial lecture. And when I wrote this EPW article, the Academy director, Dr. Sanjeev Chopra, called me up. He said, this is a very beautiful way his life has been put across. I said, the Academy should tie up with any of our institutions, like Center for Dalit Studies or other institutions, and institutionalize the memory and legacy. There are two aspects of it. Today, we are getting together and talking about him, remembering him. But what is his legacy? His legacy is what all, it's an astounding book of interviews. In fact, it's a complete span of how he has worked. I was lucky I could completely go through it. All his ideas, the way he went about, how he broke through into the political parties, how he could talk across to the officers, He mentioned about all those people who have been Dr. Bhupinder Singh, who joined us. He mentioned about him. Madhav Rao Garu, he mentioned about him. In fact, we should be really indebted to Madhav Rao Garu, who ensured that he writes. In fact, it is not very easy to sit and start writing your memoirs because P.S. Krishnan Saab was very busy. He was very active and involved. So the interview was actually very useful to bring everything all he did. There are two aspects of it. Institutionalizing his memory is that we can have certainly a memorial lecture on how about his life, about his ideas. Now the second thing is institutional legacy. While institutionalizing his legacy, we should actually also look at, he is a classic example of a civil servant or an IAS officer who was an instrument of social change. He was a true dedicated follower of the constitutional mandate that has been brought before us by Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. The constitutional mandate for the most downtrodden, that where we bring it along like that. So what I would like to put across is that, of course, we will have Center for Dalit Studies Hyderabad talking about memorial lectures, and also who would speak about that? Those civil servants who are in service, they should talk about the way they are doing work, because the institution and the memory is the work is that what a civil servant being in service, and even after he moved out of the service, he should do the way Aki Madhav Rao Garu and many of you are doing this. The legacy is that we should, of course, the way Rakesh has spoken about, institute an award. We can institute an award through a foundation or in coordination with the Lal Bahadur Shastri National Academy of Administration, Mussoorie. So there, it is very much important and required that the younger generations, you can certainly see that difference in the generation. Children who are born after the liberalization, they have a complete, people who come into the service, they have a complete different mindset. And we, the people who sort of got into service in the 19, have a different. So there are different groups or waves of younger civil servants coming in. That legacy we should put across. I personally believe that every person in the academy should read this book. This should be a curriculum, the way somebody also said. Should be curriculum in the academy. These are the few thoughts which I thought I should taking forward his legacy. Thank you, Mahendra Rangaji, and thank you everybody for bringing me in and with my homage and my thoughts with the family. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rajashekhar ji. As you will be knowing that a foundation by the name P.S. Krishnan Foundation is being registered. I have requested Shubha Chandrasekhar to be at the forefront to hold the flag. But it is a test for all of us, whether together all of us will be able to match the energy of P.S. Krishnan Saab. This is one idea. A memorial lecture will be a bare minimum that we can do in the memory of P.S. Krishnan Saab. But that will not be a true homage if his memory is reduced to a lecture alone. Together, we have to do much bigger things. And I hope the P.S. Krishnan Foundation will become the vehicle to take his legacy forward. The Institute of an Award is one, I think, excellent suggestion. The writing to the Academy to include about his life and his times and the ideas and thoughts is another good idea. I have suggested to Shubha that all of us who are associated with P.S. Krishnan Saab, we should also create a fund as a part of the foundation itself, because finance is behind every activity and we need finances. Even if we contribute small amounts, I'm sure there are lakhs of people who know Krishnan Saab, and if each one was to contribute a small amount, we could make a big difference. Uh, we have to discuss these ideas. We have to come up with our thoughts. And I would like to invite Dr. V. Vasanti Devi, who is the author of this book, which was displayed by Raja Shekharji also. I would like Dr. Vasanti Devi to share her ideas and thoughts uh, on this occasion.
Thank you very much. I'm thankful to Mrs. Shanta Krishnan. Can you hear me?
Yeah, ma'am.
Okay. I'm thankful to Mrs. Shanta Krishnan and Ms. Shubha and the family for the opportunity to share my remembrances of Mr. Krishnan. I was blessed to have been a chronicler of his monumental work and of his plans and dreams that came out as this book, A Crusade for Social Justice. And that's why I dare to speak on the roadmap he laid out. What did Mr. Krishnan leave behind of his magnificent obsession of a life driven by a single minded devotion to the cause of the most wretched of this country? When his monumental work ended, he knew there were miles to go before his dream of a land of justice, equality, and humanity will be a reality. He wanted those who would follow in his footsteps to start not in bewilderment, but blessed with a fount at their doorstep, a fount of all his wisdom, genius, and dedication, distilled and ready to be drunk deep, an elixir to nourish them and make them battle ready. He left behind a mighty roadmap, a blueprint, an architect's detailed design for the engineer to merely and faithfully follow as to where each brick is to be laid. Krishnan has drawn up an array of legislations, amendments, schemes, programs, each of them meant to take one step forward towards attainment of final social justice. And I mean, it is impossible for me to lay down to talk in a 5 to 10 minutes talk all that he has said in this roadmap. It is amazing the person's his dedication to detail. He hasn't left anything for us to imagine. He has laid down step by step how for each category that he had dedicated his life for, the SCs, the STs, the BCs, and the minorities among them, how each step has to be taken. And that is the roadmap. He has listed many types of measures to be taken. Legislations, new legislations needed, amendments to existing legislations, schemes, programs, and many others that are needed to realize the dream of equality and justice to those for thousands of years who have been denied equality and justice. Now, as I said, it's impossible to present all these in this talk. I'll just mention a couple of them as illustrations of the measures that he laid down. Now, for example, the most crying question, the most basic question to empower the SCs and STs is the land question. Because the Dalits, SCs, have always been denied land ownership. And that was the source of their powerlessness. So he has laid out a number of measures, both legislative measures and schemes and programs as to how land must be given to them. He talks about the existing legislations and also legislations that are to be dreamt of for the future. This long neglected and long delayed task is essential, he feels, for striking at the helplessness of SC families. To fulfill the promise of land to the tiller of the pre-independence nationalist movement, he wants to initiate and complete action on the decade-old Governor's Committee report, which has been put on the back burner. He has proposed the task force method to bring this about, giving patta to those landless SC families who are in occupation of government land, evicting ineligible occupants of government land and giving patta to them, and many other ways of empowering them by giving them land. And also irrigation for all unirrigated but irrigable lands of SCs and STs. These two measures will at one stroke enable rural SC families to become economically self-sufficient, liberate themselves from humiliating wage labor. This will also enable them to resist untouchability without fear for their next meal. At present, if they cross the lines of untouchability or complain against illegal discrimination, they have to face social and economic boycott and sometimes even atrocities. He even went to the extent of proposing land banks for SCs and STs. And then another category of wretchedness, bonded labor system. So he has asked for amendment of the existing bonded labor system act, the Abolition Act of 1976. Now he has proposed that in this amendment there must be provisions introduced like transfer of land, rice mills, quarries, etc. to bonded laborers. That is, to bonded laborers who were working against the legislation in the lands or quarries or mills of persons. So they must be liberated, and these bonded laborers must be made the owners. So he felt that that is the one way of making sure that the bonded labor system does not continue. Now, another big category of, once again, of a worst humiliating system is the amendments to the prohibition of employment as manual scavengers and the Rehabilitation Act to 2013. He had worked for an earlier version of this act. He had also worked for the Amendment Act of 2013 and pushed it through, but still there were many of his suggestions that were left out of this act. And so we know that this terrible abomination of manual scavenging goes on with very few held guilty and punished. So he says the amendments should specify tight stipulations to ensure release and rehabilitation of existing manual scavengers and their families. And not only that, preventive rehabilitation for other members of communities from which manual scavengers are drawn, so that there is no danger of their place being taken up by new entrants from the same community, because there are only a few communities that are pushed into this horror of manual scavenging. I mean, it's also asked for restoration of the earlier statutory status of the National Commission for Safai Karamcharis. And then he has proposed a number of occupations that must be reserved for the liberated manual scavengers. So how do you abolish this when you don't open out new avenues of employment for them? So he has proposed reservation of jobs, reservation of certain types of occupation only for those who are liberated from manual scavenging, or those or for people of those communities from which they are drawn. For example, he talks about the horror of the state, the governments being the most guilty. Among the employers of manual scavengers, the worst are the railways and similar corporations, municipalities, all these government institutions. And how do you permit manual scavenging to continue in these? So one of those reserved categories of jobs for the manual scavengers that he has suggested, that must be legislated, that must be brought into law, is that the entire catering service in the railways must be reserved for them. All food served in the railways, or even where the railways um, contract out food supply, all these must be done only by must be reserved only for those liberated manual scavengers. Who will have the courage to propose these except Krishna? Then um, and then he talks about, taking on our Sanatana Dharma's provisions for untouchability. Where is it that this untouchability is most practiced? In the areas of food and water. And that is where there is supposed to be the most polluting areas, where the very touch or the sight of an untouchable will pollute your food, will pollute your water. So that is why he proposes that this legislation must reserve many of the catering services, hotels, and other such food serving institutions for those liberated from labor, from manual scavenging. And somewhere he also told me that he would like to see that the entire milk supply in this country is done only through the manual scavengers liberated. No person should be able to get one glass of milk except from their hands. So this will strike at the very root of the tradition of untouchability. That is what he felt. Now there are Rameshnathan spoke about the special component plan. Now he has demanded that this national legislation for special component plan, the scheduled caste and tribal sub-plan should provide for certain ways of ensuring that some certain proportion of the budget is earmarked by the states and by the central government only for the benefit of SCs and STs. Um, um, One of the main measures that he has proposed is that from the total budget allocation, a certain proportion of the resources must be first set aside that to the proportion of the SCs and STs in the population, in the country or in the state. Only after that, the rest of the budgetary resource must be allocated to other ministries. Now we all know, and there are very distinguished administrators, very senior administrators here, who know what kind of cynical manipulation of this SC component plan is done in the states. They would all be knowing this. Now, I have heard of, and also he also says that these resources must be strictly used only for such measures that benefit only SCs and STs and not others. Why I'm insisting on this is, once again, you would all be knowing about the manipulation, the cynical manipulation of such provisions. I heard from one IAS officer in Tamil Nadu that the Tamil Nadu government, it laid a state highway out of these funds. And when asked, their argument was, well, that highway is used by Dalits also. So this is the way, even what little legislative measures exist, they are also distorted and denied. Okay, so there are so many others, I don't have the time. And there's a long list of measures, schemes for educational empowerment of SCs and STs, legislations, and also challenging, asking for overcoming the existing Supreme Court judgments, like in the Inamdar case or Nagaraj case. So he talks about this educational empowerment, starting from setting up Anganwadis, well set up, well provided Anganwadis with well trained persons in each SC, ST habitation. And starting from there, he goes on to very highly equipped and resource filled residential schools for them of high quality education, and then post matriculation scholarships, and even overseas scholarships, all these must be made available to them. So as I told you, there is this Inamdar judgment which said that the admission of SCs and the STs in private colleges is not permitted. So he pleads for our overcoming the effect of such legislations. Then, well, there are also specific measures for scheduled tribes that he has proposed. Apart from all the inequalities and all the denials that SCs face, the STs also have a special area because STs have characteristic cultural traits and identities, including in many cases their own languages. These need to be protected. And last of all, because I'm listing last of all, his roadmap runs into pages and pages. The women of SC and ST, they need to be given greater focus by setting apart 50% of the outlays under SCP and PSP for schemes of development and advancement and empowerment of only women of these categories. And then reservation of Lok Sabha and state Vidhan Sabhas by providing them a sub-quota under the Women's Reservation Bill. When Women's Reservation Bill comes up, if at all it comes up, then the seats should not be grabbed by the upper castes and upper classes. A certain proportion must be reserved for women of SC and ST communities. So it goes on and on. And he has laid down as his wont in each minute detail what must be changed, how it must be changed, what new provisions must be brought in. So friends, Krishnan was a one-man army that took on the giant forces of oppression, exploitation, inhumanity. Let us build a million-strong army to carry on his legacy, to prove that another world of justice, humanity is possible. And let us start now. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. I guess Mr. K.R. Venugopal is connected and part of the remembrance. Shekhar, can you confirm whether Mr. K.R. Venugopal?
Yeah, he's actually on YouTube. He was having a problem connecting on the Zoom. So I'll just try to call him and patch him over phone.
Mr. K.R. Venugopal is also an IAS officer. He has been Principal Secretary to Shri Narasimha Rao ji when he was Prime Minister. Venugopal Sahab has been instrumental in implementing the public distribution system in Andhra Pradesh. We will be very glad to hear him on this occasion.
Mahendraji, I have left him a message.
Okay.
You can kindly carry on with the proceedings if he may call back.
So, next, may I request Mr. Gopal Rao? He has also been an IAS officer of the 70 batch. He is a leading organizer. He has organized of Dalit leaders. He is and he has been an associate of Krishnan Saab. Krishnan Saab was chairman of chaired the work that he did, and Mr. Gopal Rao has been a convener. So may I request Gopal Rao Saab to share his ideas, thoughts on taking the legacy of Krishnan Saab forward. And with a great hesitation, may I request everyone the rest of the speakers to be concise and brief because we have several speakers left and we have already overshot the time. Gopal Rao, sir. Gopal Rao, sir, can you hear us?
We can't see him in the list of attendees unless he's joined with somebody else's name. Could you move to the next speaker, please?
Yeah, I would like to request Madam K. Sunita. She's an IAS officer of 1996 batch, AP cadre. She is presently Secretary Finance Department in the government of Uttar Pradesh. Madam has worked with the Krishnan Saab for a long time, especially during 2008-9 when she worked for reservation for Muslims. Madam is daughter of the ex-Chief Secretary K. Madhav Rao Sahib, who spoke earlier on this occasion. Madam, please enlighten us with your thoughts on this occasion about how to take the legacy of Krishnan Sahib forward.
Good evening, everybody. I would like to thank Shubha and Shanta Auntie for giving me this opportunity. Krishnan sir was, I will go into his contribution because there are many speakers who have spoken about it. But I would like to say that, like some of the speakers earlier said, this generation would be incomplete without his values. So, like my father has already said that we have instituted a prize. I also feel that if not only the in the Labasna Academy in Mussoorie, but also the state academies could be requested to have a small talk on Krishnan sir's values, his commitment, and his contribution. I think it would be a very good base for the foundation courses of all the various, not only the IAS officers, but for all services. Because we should also remember that in state services, there are various services, and they don't really impart any kind of idealism in the foundation course itself. So I thought it would be a good idea if the academy could write to all the institutions, and the government of India also could, DOPT could write, and we could request the Additional Secretary, Mr. Sanjay, Mr. Srinivas, K. Srinivas is from Andhra Cadre. I would also personally request him to address all the state governments. This is from my side, and I thank all of you all. It's quite late, so I will stop with this. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. I would like now to invite Mr. Mallepalli Lakshmaya, who heads the Center for Dalit Studies. Mr. Rajashekhar Gundru mentioned about him earlier and the plans that they have to take the legacy of Krishnan Saab forward. So, Lakshmaya Saab.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. My homages to Mr. P.S. Krishnan. I was very much associated with P.S. Krishnan from 10 years. We fought for the SC/ST sub-plan in United Andhra Pradesh. He was with moral support, not only moral support, he gave a total his administrative experience and his skills to our movement. Another important thing is we tried to have a sub-plan act in the national government after BJP came into power. I am myself, Madhav Rao Garu, and some other friends with the P.S. Krishnan. We met so many ministers and all those things. Every time when I have a doubt about the sub-plan and all those things, we contacted regularly with this. With his support, we achieved in United Andhra Pradesh Subplan Act and in Karnataka also. After that also, we are regularly interact with all those things. I think he's the model, not only model, he is an inspiration to anybody, even social activists, even IAS officers, in every whoever they want to social change, is the inspiration only. Then already we started S.R. Shankaran Memorial Lectures. We did it 10 years. The 10th Memorial Lecture already we organized 10 days back. Then Center for Dalit Studies and Assist Officers Forum led by K. Madhavrao Garu and DBF Dalit Bahujan Friend led by Vinay Kumar Garu. With support of Rajshekar Undru, we decided to have a P.S.Krishnan Memorial Lecture on his birth anniversary on December 30th. That will be the first memorial lecture of P.S.Krishnan. Then Rajshekar Garu already spoken. I heard his words. These whoever organization gave this award and whatever things to Center for Dalit Studies, they decided to cooperate with us. In our this memorial lecture, we decided we can continue whatever this thing. This is the first lecture we are going to have a December 30th. Center for Dalit Studies is very much interested to take P.S.Krishnan legacy to forward. And then we have a two person, P.S.Krishnan and S.R. Shankaran. And Madhavrao Garu already announced some scholarship on his memorial lecture time on beloved father and mother, parents memory. That is the we decided to have a December 30th. Then I didn't take much time, but we are very much inspired by P.S.Krishnan. Not only that, we are active to take part in his legacy to take forward. I very much thankful to organizers to give this time to talk in this occasion. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lakshmaya ji. Mr. K.R. Venugopal, who has been watching the program, the function, he sends his greetings to all of us, and he has conveyed that Mr. Rajashekar and Dr. Devi, they have already covered all the points that he would have liked to convey. Now we will throw this session open for 5 minutes or so for any specific suggestions that any other participant may like to offer.
Okay.
Sir, for the benefit of those who may not be familiar with you, I will request every speaker to give 1 or 2 lines of introduction and then offer the suggestion.
Yeah. Good evening. Can I start?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Good evening, and thanks for the great opportunity. Since time is limited, my homage to Dr. P.S.Krishnan sir and also to the family for great these arrangements and all. I could hear all of you paying great homage and what we could do get the legacy. Having associated with LBSNA, I think what has been suggested is really very good, but it has to be institutionalized at the earliest possible point of time. My suggestion will be to, for example, the good practice, the book what has been brought by Dr. Vasni Devi, if it could be brought in other languages also, like for in Odia and also in Tamil, at least not in that volume, even in a smaller form, I think that will be great, because I think there are institutions available which I think we should take it up. Otherwise, because For example, other states may not know that much deep of Dr. S.R. Shankaran sir as well as P.S. Krishnan sir. So I would suggest possibly a smaller version of this book in other languages can also be done. The second thing which I wanted to perpetuate, because finally it is to serve the people who are poor. Unfortunately, it so happened to be the Dalits. So the problem will be something like the good practices, what's being done in Kerala can be, something like that. Even when I was the resident commissioner, even the planning commission at that point of time did not had in a compiled version of all the programs. So all the good practices which is benefiting to the tribal people or to the scheduled caste people, if that could be also brought in the name of Dr. P.S. Krishnan sir, that will be great. These are the two suggestions from my side. Thanks for this great opportunity to think of a great person. I think he's not I would say it's something like a demigod for those who are the poor. Thank you very much. My name is Michael Vedashromani. I am a Kerala cadre IAS officer, retired as additional chief secretary, served in LBSNA as a faculty for about 6-7 years. I know most people. I had the great opportunity to know most Mr. P.S. Krishnan sir and S.R. Shankaran, who are great luminaries. And it was nice to see Madhav Rao sir. First time I'm hearing, I could hear the feelings. And thank you very much, sir. Nice to see you all and many of the other colleagues. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any other attendee who might like to speak or offer any suggestions?
People can send also by email and all. So that option also, please make it available. Thank you.
If there is no other suggestion, then I would request Shubha to deliver vote of thanks or to apprise the members of any other development that might be taking place on the sidelines.
Sorry, I was muted. Thank you everyone for joining us and all the words that you have spoken about Shri P.S. Krishnan. We really hope as his family and people who've really been part and parcel of all the work that he's done, all the excitement, all the efforts, that the legacy will be carried forward. Very special thanks to Shri Mahinder Ranga for great comparing, and thank you for all the speakers and everyone. And I just want to say my daughter who has been
excuse me, sorry to interrupt, ma'am. Subha ma'am.
Yes, please.
I'm Krishnaveni from South Vision Books.
Yes,
I just want to add on one information that the book of Mr. P.S. Krishnan, The Crusade for Social Justice, has been translated in Tamil, Telugu already. In Tamil, 3,000 copies it has gone, and it's still there is a demand for that. In Telugu, it was completed when he was alive, and in Kannada, it is being processed, and in Malayalam also, Comrade Pinarayi Vijayan, he only released the Malayalam version of the book. It's going on, and currently we have given the work to translate it in Marathi and Bengal. We have identified 2 persons.
Very nice. We are very happy. In fact, I was there in Trivandrum for the release of the the Malayalam version, and very nice to see it being translated. It's a fantastic.
Krishnan sir was challenging that you can bring out in any language, but you cannot bring out in West Bengal. We have took the challenge very seriously, and we are trying very hard that it will come in Bengali.
Thank you all very much. Thank you so much. And
so any other is interested to translate in any other language, we want the book to be translated in all the Indian languages.
Thank you.
That will be fantastic. And my daughter has just jumped in and said, Mom, can I speak one word? She has grown up literally with him, hugely influenced by, all his work. So just one line. I mean, I know we're long delayed, and thank you so much, all of you, for staying back despite, it being one word from my daughter to thank all of you.
We can also constitute a committee if possible to take forward these books.
Namaste everyone. Thank you everyone for taking your time to be
Thank
here
you.
today. It means the world, like my family and I. And like I grew up with my grandfather being someone who was really inspiring to me. But the only thing that I would want to say today is that please spread the same message to your grandchildren or people from my generation. I myself am 18, because we're the ones who are going to have to carry forward this way. And I mean, I know my generation is very active on social media. That's why we advocate for what we believe in. So I believe that all of us should also carry forward this. So please include all the youngsters and everything as well. And thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, we can. Shubha, you can conclude. Yeah. Yes. They're all waiting. A lot of them are waiting.
You say thank you about ending the meeting.
Yes. Hello. Am I audible, please? Could you raise? Yeah. So thanks everybody. We have recorded this and we will share the recording. And it's a small beginning we have made, and hopefully year after year it will grow into a big. And we were struggling with the technology ourselves, and it's been a good learning for us. And apologies if some people were pushed out because it was not due to intent, but it is due to limitation of technology. And next time we'll definitely overcome. Thank you very much, and good night. Thank you very much.
Thank you.